Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Ghost Files Live. It is July 15th, 2022. It is a beautiful Friday evening here in New England, southern Massachusetts. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Sorry for a little bit of a delay. We were just setting up some of the technical stuff. I've set up some new technical stuff at my office here in Massachusetts, so I got some new equipment running. Again, thank you for everybody for tuning in. I'm very excited about tonight because I have a very special guest who's been a friend of mine for a very long time and who with I could not have made Never Hike Alone or a lot of the other projects that we've worked on together since then. But without any further ado, I'd like to bring on to the show my good friend, Andrew Leighty. There he is. Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Coming in from the West Coast where it's still sunny.
Yes, sir.
You look good, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I got you.
I still got some cement in my hair, so I had to pull it out.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of what have you been doing lately?
Construction.
Mostly
carpentry, yeah. But I'm like Tom. But
yeah, right.
Following
in his footsteps. Oh, just a couple.
Sure am.
Yeah, I mean, for the people that follow your Instagram, I do, or I mean, any of your social media stuff. It is funny. You have a lot of great stories from out there.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep people entertained. I don't show them the bad side. I just show them the good stuff.
I know, but I mean, that's also the life of an actor too. It's like we act and we do, and it's like you gotta pay the bills, but at the same time, then you get out there and we'd make stuff like Never Hike Alone 2 and other stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the cool part is you take everyday occurrences and you're able to find like what people can gravitate towards because of the fact that we've told stories our entire lives and been able to be a part of that. And it makes it a lot easier to like go into something that you do every day and find something funny or find something entertaining and put that out to everyone else.
Totally. I figure like, I don't know, like right now I'm doing like, I've been doing so much production work, but since I've been home, I've been like doing things like helping my dad and like going out and doing other types of jobs that I don't normally do. And I've actually enjoyed that from the standpoint of like, sometimes when you're working in the industry all the time, like you almost lose all your creativity because you're on set all the time. You're not experiencing like real life stuff, what people are really going through. Like everything on set is so like tied
Mundane.
mundane or like just tied to show business, and it's sort of boring to tell stories about filmmakers. I always feel that it's like, oh, what am I going to write my story about being on set, or like, oh, I got to write my movie. It's like, no, you want to go out and like experience the real world, or like because we do a lot of antique stuff, so like we end up like going to like, I don't know, some of my stuff, like we go to like like what they feel like is haunted houses, like people were they're just died.
Oh, that's probably the best.
Yeah, and like you kind of go through people's lives, and like I've been so inspired by some of the stuff that I've like seen, and like, but also like just the interactions and like being in this side of the world. It's like it's been such a I don't know, like coming back home and like just seeing like a different way of life. I'm like, oh, like I feel inspired to like write things and like kind of put stories down, and like people are so funny out here, so I write stuff down, and it's just like, so yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like getting back into it, you feel like reconnected with like real characters and like storytelling and like life.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our audience, a lot of people we communicate with are from the U.S. And so it's the U.S. is a big melting pot. So no matter where you are, you're gonna find someone who can relate to what you're doing, and as long as you can do it in like kind of correlate that in an entertaining way, then they're able to sit there and understand where you're coming from. But if you can't do it in an entertaining way, you do it something that's kind of, I don't know, blasé. It doesn't like, no one can relate to that. But if you can do it in a way that people are like, oh, I've been there, I've done that, then to them, whether or not it's funny or it's sad, like whatever, as long as they can relate to it, they find some sort of purpose out of it, and they can be like, I know exactly what you're going through, bro.
Hey, Deb jumped into the chat.
Deb!
Oh my gosh, so loud. Hey, Deb, thanks for jumping in. Oh, we're up to some pretty good. 27 people have already kind of come in. We're just sort of catching up right now for everybody who's coming in. But Drew, we've known each other for quite a long time now. This has been quite a journey that you and I have been on since Never Hike Alone started. Like everywhere that we've gone. I mean, I feel like lifetimes have gone by. It really is.
We've almost died together, bro.
multiple times. I feel like we were, on planes to New Mexico, and we were coming in hot, and that was a good time. But I wanted to kind of like, I don't know, I think one of the things I'd like to do tonight is definitely involve the chat a lot more, because people are going to have questions for us, and I think that we can be spontaneous and sort of jump into things. We're not going to be as regimented as some of the other things, because we're going over specifics. This is like a really great catch up for you and I, fans, an opportunity to ask us questions about Never Hike Alone, Pathosis, 13 Fanboy, Never Hike Alone 2, and all that stuff. But I guess just to get things started, why don't we start off with like, what is like one of your favorite memories from when we started Never Hike Alone? Like when it was just like the core group. Like, what is there something like stands out to you where you're like, what was the first time you were like, man, this is like gonna be something?
Yeah, I guess like a lot of my learning and the things I've been able to accomplish came from mistakes that I've made in the past, and so I think initially, like, I look at the first day we filmed when we didn't use any of the footage. And I remember going home I remember going home feeling so defeated. Like, I don't know if I'm going to ever see any of that. And then 6 months down the line, I texted you and I was like, what's going on with the footage? I got to scrap it all, bro. I got to scrap. And I was like, oh, okay. But that initial feeling made, once we finished Never Hike Alone, made it all so much better, because we're talking like 3 years of not doing a thing. And all of a sudden, one day you text me and you're like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, nothing. You want to come film Big Bear? Sure. And just getting that footage and knowing that all the lessons you learned, because it wasn't anyone else, it was you that learned it. All lessons you learned from that first day transverse over to those 3 years later and filming in Big Bear and seeing that product. To me, that was kind of one of those things where it like opened up. I just, this whole new like eye that I had that I didn't know I had, but seeing you perform 20 tiers better and being like, I can do that too. I can do that too. As long as I'm able to take what I've done in the past and say, hey, I made a mistake here, but I can be better in the future. That was like cool to see that. And
yeah, it's funny because you bring that up, and I wasn't even like thinking about when we did that Malibu trail, like the scrapped version, because a lot of people, I mean, we showed like maybe you. Did I ever show it to you? Never. I never showed it to you.
I think maybe I saw. I think maybe I saw like a still from it, but I never saw.
I can show it to you sometime. I have it. Maybe it's time.
Yeah, you've said that 1,000 times. Yeah, I don't think you ever.
I just forget to send it to you. I'll put it on Vimeo.
All right.
But yeah, no, I mean, really, what was ended up being wrong with it was just the final shot. I mean, actually, it's not a bad short. It's just parts of it are out of focus.
Yeah,
like literally the
part. It was all handheld too.
It was all handheld, and we learned the lesson of like, we knew that we could film, HD at that time on a I think a Canon Mark III, 5D Mark III or Mark IV, and we had a nice camera, but what we didn't have was any of like the cinematic side of it. We didn't have anything to focus with. We weren't using autofocus. I don't think that was a feature on that camera. Maybe it was, but we didn't know. And so just sort of like not being out there with the right equipment was like number one thing. And so like after we did that, that's when I went and did the 48-hour film festivals. I started helping out on other sets and shadowing other people and spending more time on like procedural stuff to be like, oh, okay, this is the actual way to do it. And I think it was when I met Chris. It was like when Kyle and I met Chris was when we knew that we had.
Fellas.
Yeah. That's when we had our DP to kind of come in and really kind of lead the way. And I think that was sort of the big part of it. So that first weekend, and then obviously John Cabrera was a big part of that too. So it was like that initial like group of 5 of us that shot basically all that test footage, all that scout footage. We went up, how many times we filmed this scene where you walked up the front steps like 12 different times with like 3 or 4 different cameras. Like we were going through so many different, like
not even that one, but then also the
going by the
where
window.
I get out of the tent. Oh, by the window, man. That was my glory moment.
And it never made it into the movie. It's one of the best shots we got. And we ended up, we we ended up using the one where you're walking behind the building because it was just a bigger shot and it gave it more scope. And so I tried to use both shots, but in editorial we were like, you can't, you know, you got to pick one. And so that was one of the hardest darlings to cut. But if you go into the Never Hike Alone lost scenes and cut scenes, that the shots of you going up the steps and all that stuff, like some of our early test footage, which I think is called test footage, you can see what we shot. Those were really our early test footage to show a bigger crew, to say, listen, we have a location.
This is what we got.
We have a look of picture. This is what we have to execute on a larger scale. So it actually did a lot of work. But I mean, that was like, because we had shot the teaser in May, and then we shot all summer, and we didn't start shooting anything for Never Hike Alone until September. So that's a lot of prep. So that's why I'm kind of happy that we're doing so much prep for Never Hike Alone too, because there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to do for that, because this is such a much bigger production.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think we learned so much, but I think what I learned, you know, and it helps in my job today, but like what I learned was that no matter what you're doing, you can make a product, but you can always make it better. And it was so cool learning that from you, because it's like, you know, we've known each other for a long time, but it's always been a big brother, little brother sort of relationship that we've had.
I don't know. I feel like we're just like disproportionate twins.
Yeah, you're a lot taller.
I just came out first. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like Danny
short.
DeVito. Oh yeah, totally. I get to be Schwarzenegger. That's great. I don't know. I think you got all the good genes, man.
You'd be that tall guy from 2.5 Men with the funny voice.
Oh, what's his? Oh, I always forget Warburton. Patrick Warburton.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what his name is, but you're just the taller one of us too.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, no, it's been a complete blast doing all this stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let's see if there's any questions. I'm looking to see if there's any questions in the chat. Let's see. We have a lot of good chats. Let's say hi to people. Mitch.
Hi, people.
Hi, everybody. Have you ever done an interview with Mitch? Mitch the Ripper? Oh, come on, Mitch. You got to get out there and do that. John Zuzlo is in the chat tonight. He let me know that I put the wrong time on the card, and I changed it with 2 minutes to spare, and then we were still 5 minutes late, but it's all good. But John, he's one of our producers on Never Hike Alone too. So John, thank you for your thing. And actually, that's a good segue. We should talk about the fact that Never Hike Alone 2 is still crowdfunding. We're at $217,000 right now. So we've raised quite a good amount of money for Ghost in the Fog. We raised the initial $5,000 that we're using for pre-production. So that's been submitted to Mako Animation Studios. Pre-production has started. We actually have our first executive producer by the name of Brandon. I would have to look up his name. I should have wrote it down before I came up, but
what an asshole.
I know, what a jerk. I bet I could look it up real quick, but I won't do that. But anyway, we have our first executive producer who came onto the project, so that's going to be huge. That was a $3,500 donation that was made today to the campaign. That's going to be going towards the animation portion of Ghost in the Fog. We have about another $15,000 to raise for that. Our next goal is $250,000 for the campaign. With that goal, we're going to be able to add kills to Never Hike Alone 2. Obviously, that's always good. We can expand the film. We're actually going to add back in one of my favorite scenes that we had to cut, which is a montage scene of Jason killing a bunch of people in Crystal Lake on his way to the hospital. So that's going to be a really good one. And then it will also fund the production of Ghost in the Fog. When we kind of weighed out like what that stretch goal would be, we realized that we could do both. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing it. So $250,000 is our goal. We're at 217. That's under $35,000. I think we can do it over the next few months. There are Ghost in the Fog perks that you should pick up. There's new pins, there's new posters, there's new shirts. There is the special thank you credit, which if you have Never Hike Alone 2 and you have the Blu-ray, Ghost in the Fog will come on the Blu-ray. but you won't get a credit on it. If you want to get a credit in Ghost in the Fog, you have to get a new special thank you credit, which comes with expedited shipping. So if you have any legacy perks like Never Hike Alone Blu-rays or Never Hike in the Snow stuff, or Never Hike in the Snow posters, or anything that's not related to Never Hike Alone 2 being filmed and put on a Blu-ray or a VHS, we will ship it to you this fall. So lots of cool, great deals that are on the thing. It's in the link right now, so definitely check that out and share your support. And if you have supported the campaign, definitely share it on your social media accounts this weekend. Definitely tell people that you know about it. You got to do all those things because, you know, Kyle Mcleod here has a very big writer. He has a lot of demands that he has to have on set. And if we want to be able to afford him for this thing, because now that he's coming back, he's the darling of the sequel.
I need a fluffer.
All your demands that you make. I don't know. I feel like let's talk about all the things that you've done for this movie. How many times have you ate a face first dirt or killed yourself in some way just to make the film happen?
Man. I don't even know.
I mean,
I remember the first time that we went out after that first shot. We went out to the snow to do a test, and to me at that moment I was like, oh, test, yeah, I'm selling it, baby, I'm going all out. And we got out of the truck, and I remember you put the
drone,
that thing called the drone, up in the air, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go all out, I'm gonna start running. But it's like a 2-mile run that I gotta go do. So I start running, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pace myself, I'm gonna look like I'm going extra hard. So I start running, and all of a sudden the drone goes up. I hear it go up behind me, and I hear it hit my head or come right behind me, and all I hear behind that is run. I'm running, and I started running a little bit faster, and I hear, no, fucking run. And I was like, I'm run, okay. And so I started sprinting, and then I hear, run, bitch. And it was like one of those things where I was like, I can't run any faster, man. I'm running as fast as I can.
That's so funny. Yeah, you had to get. I was just trying to motivate you to go. Yeah, I think
I went.
You did, and you were so winded. Yeah, I mean I think that's the one thing about playing these characters is that they're always running. You take that for granted every time you see an actor running through the shot. You know what I mean? And it's so easy for me to be like, come on, I got to move faster in the shot. I needed to pick up with the camera, and you're like, dude, I can't breathe. You're like, oh,
altitude sickness and everything.
True.
But I think the other thing too is as an actor being put in that moment where you're being told to do what you do, and then in my head, I'm being told what I need to do, but at the same time, I still need to look pretty, quote unquote pretty. In this film, you don't gotta look pretty at all. You just gotta you gotta survive. And that was kind of something that I hadn't been able ever to take into my acting perception. So being able to put myself into that certain sort of circumstance was, I had to be told to do that. And I needed you to tell me to do that. And I didn't know how to do it without someone telling me, run, bitch, run.
Yeah, but we also have that we also had that such a fun rapport. I mean, that's one of the things about being on set with your friends. I mean, sometimes, when you're on set, on a big set, and you have to keep serious and you have to stay kind of locked in and all that stuff. It's so much fun being on set with you because we can kind of just be we can have fun.
Brothers.
And I know, just yelling at each other and being jerks to each other for fun. And people will look at us, but we know that we're just being brothers, just picking on each other, which is always which is always a lot of fun. How many times did you eat shit during the movie? Just fall on your face?
I think just once.
Just once? We got it on camera too. And when you smashed.
I think one time I fell straight in the snow and got my head stuck like an ostrich. That was one. I think it was just I went straight down, came across and got stuck. And I heard you and Evan laughing behind me. It was just the three of us. I heard you and Evan laughing behind me, but I couldn't physically pull my head out in this awkward position. And I mean, that was one of the ones that really stuck with me. I mean, there's one shot in the film after I knock off Jason's head with the rock where I was supposed to step back and run away, but I stepped back into a rock and I rolled backwards in 2 takes, maybe 3 takes. It was the exact same thing both times, or all 3 times. And I was like, well, fuck it. You know, we're out here. We're going to do it the way it's got to be done. And that's how it had to be done. And I mean, I didn't mind falling. You know, it was kind of like I wanted to make Kyle as real as possible. And I think Kyle, you know,
but I think you also proved that like running through the woods is not as easy as it
not
seems
as
sometimes.
easy. But
in fact, I've been doing a lot of trail running. When I was running in Flagstaff, like I did the thing where like I just caught my toe on a rock and just ate shit. And I was like, how did I just do that? Like it's real. Tripping in the forest is real. That's not a convention. That didn't come out of nowhere. I think
also subconsciously knowing Kyle almost forgot his keys in the Jeep or in the Bronco. So knowing that Kyle almost forgot that's part of Kyle being clumsy, you know? And so I think in a way that just kind of became part of my life, you know, being clumsy, or maybe it was, wouldn't be surprised if it was, but like, you know, that is who Kyle was. And, you know, jumping across a river, dropping the GoPro in the river. That's Kyle.
He's kind of clumsy in a way.
Kind of clumsy, but really dangerous. And I think that's kind of what makes him cool. It's like really relatable to people. Like, you want to go on a backpacking trip? We're going to go on a backpacking trip. Do you know what you're getting yourself into? Not really, but like, I think I do.
Hey, I can do this. I saw Bear Grylls. I can do this.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So that John has a good question. How many miles do you think you ran during shooting?
Oh,
we should have done like a health.
We should have a Fitbit on me. So I know. I think I did have a Apple Watch I did have an Apple Watch on me. And
we used to put that other fake watch on when you'd forget it and it had black tape on it.
Yeah, we had because the first half of Never Hike Alone, I had an Apple Watch and it broke in Never Hike Alone. That's right. I remember I was logging in something like 28,000 steps a day when we were filming.
Yeah,
it was something crazy like that, which almost blew my my Apple Watch out of there. But then, yeah, it was around 28,000 because I remember that was the most I'd ever done. And I was sitting there like looking at it. I was like, whoa, this is the most steps I've ever done in my life. This is amazing. And then all of a sudden you had me go out there to Big Bear and run across the river or the pond, that one pond. And we did 4 takes of that. And all of a sudden I'm at 15,000 steps. And I was like, it's 9 a.m. and I'm at 15,000 steps. How does that make sense?
Because we went overnight. Yeah.
Because we went straight across it and back and straight across it and back and straight across and back and straight across and back. And the last one, you had me go up the rock, the big rock.
That's
and you're
right. I remember
just climb
that
it,
one.
just climb it. And
so this would have been one of the scout days for the original trailer.
Yeah.
Because you jumped over the thing and then you ran up. Yeah. I remember that. I was trying to get like a Bigfoot shot of you like walking into the woods, like that one look back. That was the idea of the shot. It didn't really end up working out, but
we had a year and a half, I would say, about of just scouting.
Yeah, I mean, we had to find all those locations. And think about it, we did like almost a year of scouting, and then we found the camp, and then the entire summer was all camp, building everything. So just real quick, Brittany Montero, our wonderful producer, we love you, Brittany. Brandon Covington is our executive producer on. Perfect producer dropping it like it's Brandon Covington. Brandon Covington is our EP on Ghost in the Fog. Brandon, if you're watching or if you see this later on, thank you so much. So Brandon is going to be in the film. So I got to hook up with Brandon sometime this week or weekend. We're going to get a photo of him. We're going to draw him into the movie. So you're going to see Brandon. The character is now going to be named Brandon. no longer Leon. Leon was the placeholder name, like Leon, like from Raccoon City, Resident Evil. So now it's Brandon. So Brandon's our one of our lead characters. Or
let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, okay. Here we go.
Sorry.
We're gonna get a lot. We're gonna get a flood of many different types of people coming in now. So thank you, Brittany, for doing that. John thinks that Never Hike in the Snow is still one of the best looking trailers. I agree. I think that shout out to Evan Bucka, who won a best cinematography award at Crimson Screen Film Festival a couple weekends ago. He won, best cinematography for Never Hike in the Snow. That was the opening scene and trailer for Never Hike in the Snow is definitely one of the hardest things I've ever had to shoot in my entire life. Let's talk movies. What's up, dude? Just want to say that you're absolutely killing the game with the Friday the 13th stuff. Man, can't wait for NHA 2. Neither can we.
Thank you, brother.
Angel Star, Westport is proud to call you one of our own. Thank you, Angel. I guess we'll have to say hello one day. Keep up the incredible work, Vincent. Andrew, I sent you the article that we put in the paper this weekend. Apologies if this was previously answered. Any ideas of when Ghost in the Fog runtime? It's going to be between 5 and 7 minutes. The script, I believe, is 5.5 pages long. So when all said and done, with like the introduction that we're going to put on it and credits, it's probably going to be between like 7-8 minutes. So it's definitely it's a small piece, but it's going to have 3 characters in it. I won't tell you how many kills, but I'll just say, and it and it's very much like the Disappear music video meets the Never Hike in the Snow opening, where you're getting a short story about somebody who goes missing. I mean, the Never Hike Alone is really supposed to be the stories about the people who go missing, but luckily for Andrew, we had a producer by the name of Carolyn Gare who saved his life, and we changed the ending of the movie, and then all of a sudden we signed Tom Matthews, and Tom saved his life. So luckily for Drew,
I'm still around.
He's still around because originally in the original ending of Never Hike Alone, Drew was going to make it right to the edge and then die. And he wasn't going to get away. And that was going to be the scary story there. But Tom Matthews came back as Tommy Jarvis and saved his life. And now we're doing a feature film sequel for hopefully $250,000, along with an animated short that will be another 5 to 7 minutes. So that's how long that will be. Not just horror, good fan of ours. How you doing, Danae? Just stopping in to say hello. She hopes Andrew survives Never Hike Alone 2. Andrew, what do you think your odds of surviving are?
Like 100%, I think. You know,
You're
pretty quick.
Oh, really? You think so?
I'm pretty quick. I'm pretty lean, pretty agile. And you know what? I'm not close enough with any of the other actors to say I won't toss him in front of Jason to save my life.
So you're survival at all costs for Kyle Mcleod. Jordan Harvey wants to know if I'll be making a cameo in the film and will I be breaking some legs? Well, due to some scheduling issues and just overall availability, we're not going to have the same EMTs back to reprise their roles. And so I will be taking over the role of Axel. I'll be coming in with, I think I may be like, I'll be kind of looking like Rob. And then Denny Morgan is going to be played by a good friend of mine, Lauren Wickel. So we're going to replace those 2 actors because they aren't available to come back to the film. So we're replacing with me and Laura. So that's going to, Lauren, me and Lauren. So that's going to be a lot of fun to have her there. We're actually, Lauren's a good friend of mine all the way back from high school. And we both did work with Vinny Guastafara in his acting school. So we're coming in and going to be taking over for the roles, coming in hot, doing some Axel and Denny stuff. So Axel is going to be returning because there were some flashbacks, and I'll be playing that character. You also see some of the ambulance scene over again, so I'll be replacing him in those scenes. It will be like, it's almost like we're remaking that scene anyway, because we're going to do it a lot better and tie it into how Tom and Kyle met, which is really fun. How about, that was probably one of the, like, honestly, like Never Hike Alone 2 is going to be one of the easiest films ever for you for most of it, because you're just going to be lying on a gurney.
I mean, I'm really good at acting asleep. I'm not going to lie.
Will he survive? 10 scenes of just people staring in the window at Kyle.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
I mean, that's why I did on Pathosis too. Like half the time I was asleep.
That's right. Oh yeah! Also,
And so,
congratulations to the team at Pithosis, which came away with 7 nominations for Days of the Dead Indianapolis, which will be screening next week, next Saturday. I believe that's July 23rd. I believe at the 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. block at Days of the Dead. So it's up for Best Short. It's up. Austin's up for Best Director, Best Ensemble Cast, which Andrew, you played the benevolent boyfriend in that one, and the mother's boy. Cynthia Kanai, Vinny's wife, was played the mom, and of course Luciana Fallhaber played Sam, who's also playing the lead actress in Ghost in the Fog. She's going to be voicing one of the main characters in that film. So if there's still 2 EPs left, so if anybody out there is female and has $35,000, I mean $3,500, and wants to be an EP, you can be voiced by Luciana and have your likeness put onto the film. Or if you're a gentleman and you want to do a gift for your wife or girlfriend, that would be an amazing gift to a wife or girlfriend to have her animated in a Friday the 13th film. I mean, right, Andrew? What do you think? That's a great
birthdays
gift,
are coming
right?
up. Yeah, I think
Birthdays are
a great birthday present.
It's a great Halloween present. I mean, I think we should start giving presents at Halloween. I mean, for spooky people who love Halloween, why aren't we exchanging spooky gifts on Halloween?
I've been telling people they should give me presents every day because it makes me feel better. Weird. No one follows suit.
Somebody's really excited to see Kyle. Holy shit, it's Kyle for real. How fun is it that I call you Kyle on set?
Half the time you call me Kyle, and I was like, you've known me before Kyle Mcleod was a character.
But now every time I see you, you're just Kyle. But I mean, but you've been so many more things.
We've shared hotel rooms together. We've shared bedrooms together,
and
yes. You
we've
still are like,
so much
hey, Drew.
Because it's just it's a family curse. I swear.
It's the weirdest thing because I don't say, "Hey, Jason," to you, but
hey, Jason.
Yes.
Scarlet Rose wants to see a gag reel. Scarlet, there actually is a gag reel for Never Hike in the Snow, but we definitely. I talked to Mike about this, our new editor, Mike Appy. But I said, we have this drive. If one day somebody could just go through all this footage and pick out some of it, because I went through it on the behind the scenes when we were doing it, and there's so many goofy things. A lot of it has to do with JD. Like JD did all this behind the scenes footage, and he would set up the camera and like do all this crazy shit in the background. There's one where he set it up and he's like filming through the window, and all of a sudden like you see him run into the background, and he's like running through the background like I don't know what he's doing, but he just wanted to create. I think he was testing focal length, but he was doing his own creature. But it was so funny. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. I have the hard drive. I'm really gonna dig into it.
There's one where Kyle and I are singing LMAO. It's some boy band.
Mm-hmm.
Girls stop by in the summer. I like girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh, and you would always sing that on set.
And JD just comes up and he's filming us while we're singing it, and he's kind of like bobbing with us and we do it. And all of a sudden you see his hand come out of nowhere, go and slap me in the face, and then slap Kyle in the face. No, shut up.
I think I have that. I gotta find that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have it on my Facebook. I know that.
Oh, let me see.
It's kind of crazy. Like, it's cool. Like how, as much as you and I became brothers, mm-hmm. Our initial core group of guys, you, me, JD, Ben, Evan, Chris, Jonathan, that whole group kind of just became like conjoined quattros, or however many people there were.
Quattros, cincos.
Yeah, it was a very close group, and even though we fought at times, we still ended up fighting because we wanted to make something that was perfect, as good as we can do it. And that was kind of like the ultimate goal. And to have a group of people that all had the same mindset, like, yeah, we can fight it out, we can duke it out on set, but it's for a good reason.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
totally.
You see the good reason,
Well, I mean, we always it was always about like making the film better. And we all sort of had that, like everybody's intention was always to try and make the film better. And it was what we had to learn throughout that entire time was just how to communicate. because we always wanted the same goal. And sometimes it got heated because we would be saying like almost the same thing, just in a different language. And it wasn't until I really started taking like steps to put down my ideas in like a more locked version versus showing up and being like, okay, I have it all figured out, so here's what we're going to do. And then having to sort of lead everybody through it versus like getting ahead of it and then being able to and pre-vising and showing people ahead of time. And before we got to set, we already knew what our shot list was. And then it was more about like review of like, remember,
did we get it right?
And we got it right. And a lot of times too, like the thing that you made me think of was when me and JD went out and like reshot, I think 4 or 5 scenes by ourselves.
Yeah.
It was that final day. We made that decision when we had a cut of Never Hike Alone where the film was done. I mean, we had all the scenes, but there were 4 scenes, I think, that had.
And can we just tweak it a little bit better so it's perfect?
Well, it really came down to the environment, because we shot some of it in the fall and we shot some of it in the spring, and everything in the spring looked beautiful. And it's one of the reasons why we're shooting in the spring for Never Hike Alone 2, was that we realized in Never Hike Alone that in the spring we had all those green forests, everything was blossoming, everything was beautiful. Like we didn't run into the same problems with like the burnt forest or like ugly looking backgrounds like we had in the fall. We sort of had what we needed, but then when we put those 2 worlds together, they didn't blend. So it was like we couldn't reshoot everything that we had just done to make it look like the fall again, because that would have been crazy. But we had everything we needed to just fix those 4 scenes that were brown. And they were the easy ones. It was the tent scene. And then we had a continuity error in the attic. So we reshot the attic. We added that scene where I don't know if it was that one. Remember when you walk up to the thing and you're like, hey, like, so I've been walking around and I figured out the red ribbons. Like we worked that scene.
Yeah, we had that one.
That was one that we added during like another shoot where I was like, hey, while we have time, while they're setting up that stuff, we're going to get this at the end of the day. And I wish we would have, I honestly wish we would have shot that like an hour later, just because it was so bright. And I remember thinking that like, oh, we shot it too early in the day. We weren't able to color correct it. And it's one of the things that stands out in the movies of like, oh man, we didn't shoot it when it was dark like it was in the scene where you're walking.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
But you know what I do remember is that you texted me around, I would say like 11, like maybe noon. Mm-hmm. And you said, hey, I have another idea for a scene. And it's going to be the Kevin Bacon murder scene. And I was like, oh, cool. All right. When are you thinking? And you're like, today. What? I was like, is there dialogue? You're like, yeah, there's a little bit of dialogue. And he sent me the script and I was like, it's a page of dialogue, Vin.
But the thing is that like we always had. But
you gave me free reign. You gave me the general outline, and you said, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. These are the lines that I kind of want you to run by, but make it your own. And that was kind of the cool thing about
that was like, yeah, exactly, because it ended up being you, because I knew the way that I was writing it down was very like Friday the 13th nerdy, and that's not who Kyle was. Like I was writing it down for what the facts were, and I just like at the end
Kyle's
of the day,
a non-believer. I think in my eyes, Kyle was like a non-believer up until the point where he saw Jason. But mm-hmm. Kyle was like a non-believer who wanted to prove that it was not right. Mm-hmm. So you get Kyle in a situation, he's heard all these stories and everything, and all of a sudden you spring on him, well, I'm seeing a lot of these little tapes around here, and I think that I know what they're about. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look-see. But he just wants to push the envelope into like the next furthest thing, because all he's trying to do is build his fan base.
I remember when we had discussed possibly like Kyle was planting the flags himself.
I know. I was like, oh, that's great. Let's do it, baby.
I just didn't want to make him a scumbag. Like that was the thing. It was like, it might've been fun for like those, and sometimes those are the things you got to save yourself from. You come up with an idea like that on set and you actually commit to it and you're like, shit, now we made him a scumbag.
Yeah, but like Kyle's scumbag in the dying episodes might've been kind of nice, especially if you had him.
Oh, in the dying episode. Yeah. If he would have died, that would have been a great.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, you bring back like, oh, and Kyle was one planting all these things in there. He was actually one doing all this shit because he knew
It would drive up viewers.
Researched all these things, and he knew exactly what he was getting into.
I think that makes Kyle almost too much of a shallow YouTuber for him to be like a competent lead. Like at that point, I start rooting against that character. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that was
true.
And that was always what we needed away. It was the same thing. We have the scene, and it is on. I believe it's on the YouTube. Happy 420, where Kyle smokes weed.
Yeah,
we had the weed scene.
Don't mind if I do be, but it wasn't that one. It was the one where he's in the dandelions or whatever.
But I ended up cutting those both together. Where it was you, it's like you get up, it's you putting you put the tent back together, and then you're putting your bag together, and then you accidentally drop the doobie, and it falls out, and you go, "Don't mind if I doobie," and you smoke, and it goes into Enya, and then it's you walking through into the that's where you. And so originally, that was how Kyle found the no trespassing sign scene, and in an ethereal way, I thought about it. I thought about it as him smoking weed opened up a portal to Camp Crystal. Like, oh, you fucked up, so now you're gonna find the path. Like, honestly, if I had more of a budget and I could be kind of crazy that way, like you'd see like the trees pull back in a way. He's having such a trip.
Hot dang. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that idea.
It's an idea, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to do that as a smaller concept of like more of a jokey, like, oh, you smoke weed and all of a sudden it like unlocked the curse. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like what they did in Jason X when like he's sleeping on the table after they're thawing him, but people having sex is what wakes him up. Like,
Hassan is a big pothead. Let's say that. Hassan, big pothead.
Who?
Jason Hassan.
Oh, Jason. Forgot you're out there. By the way, I've had this question up and I haven't even asked you, Andrew. When shooting, did you had to be careful from any coyotes or wolves? Did we have any critter issues?
Just you and JD in my tent.
But we did have that. We did have the warning about we didn't have to be worried about wildlife. We had to be worried about cartels.
Yes. That was the one. No, yeah, we didn't have any coyotes. Definitely no wolves, because California, the only wolves we got are human. But
wow.
No, we didn't have.
We never ended up having
spiders in my bunks. No, I don't.
Well, I mean, what about remember the story that they told us about? Like the locals came up, they were like, "Oh yeah, the ATF like."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did they say? They said our motto here is SSS: shoot, shovel, split.
Because we used to find like all like the gun, like we used to find like the bullet shells, and there was all like gun, like bullet holes on all the cabinets and stuff like that. And I always thought that. And
you could find trail. Like I remember Kyle and I, you have to hike up the back mountain behind the camp to go and get cell service, and you could hike up there, and there are trails, like small little. It looked like horse trails, you know. It's probably like I don't know how wide horses' legs are.
It's like a fish. Just keeps doing this.
But yeah, it's like my wiener. Just kidding. But it was like that. It was like that. It was like a small little trail that just kind of went along the side of the hill and curved back around. And I was like, whoa, hiking trail. And then those guys came up, the neighbors, and they were like, yeah, it's not a hiking trail. I was like, oh. So do you want to go up there and check it out? No, you don't do that. Because the FBI, that's what it was. The DEA and the FBI had come by with helicopters and found that whole weed crop area that was right above our camp, not too far away. And that was why the SSS had come into play as a moral for the locals.
That's right. So then it was like, did you ever become like paranoid that like one day a truck was going to roll up and be like, what are you doing at our camp?
No, I had found a little bush that I knew I was going to hide in if anyone ever rolled up. There's like a little hollow bush, and I was like, well, if anyone ever rolls up on us, I'm just going to go dive down in this thing. Because it was a bush.
In your bright red jacket?
Yeah. But it was like a bush. Like if here's the bush is right here, and it was probably like 5 feet. But you go If the bush right here, you go around it in the backside, and it went down in the dirt. So I just figured I'd dive in there, put a blanket over me, and hide out with my machete.
I can't believe you were like plotting how to. You just you know this legend. Everyone else is like there, and you're like ready to hide, but like
Survival of the
told me
fittest,
about
baby.
this story.
This is Darwinism.
Kyle
Mcleod.
How much do you miss? How much does Kyle regret dissing the shovel that saved him?
A lot. It was a good shovel. I actually did cut wood with it. I cut wood with it. I think I hacked down a small tree. What else did I do with that thing? I mean, that thing was really nice. That was a really good shovel, and it was really strong, and it was sharp. Like you could, if you had a grinder, you could sharpen that sucker down, and you could make it dangerous. There's no Jason with that shovel around. I'm telling you that much.
And one of the things we never really got to reveal with it was when you took the shovel off, there was actually a knife on the inside.
I know.
There's a knife like that long that like you could put on the end and just like.
Yeah.
I guess it's for like fishing, but.
No.
Too bad we never got that.
I recognize that length from somewhere, but I knew it was a strong one.
Let me see. I got more thing here. Elise is checking in. Hey, Vinny and Andrew. Vinny, are we getting new perks for the campaign that are non-Ghost in the Fog stuff? Also donating this weekend to Ghost in the Fog. That's awesome. Yeah, eventually we're going to release more things as we come up with them. I think that there's some sweatshirts that we can do. There's coffee mugs, some things that we've been kind of going there. If anyone ever has any ideas, like say like painted machetes or something like that, tater tots, like maybe like regurgitated tater tots from Kyle Mcleod, something like that. If anybody has an idea, just email us at wompstompfilms@gmail.com, and we will definitely take everything into consideration and check those things. We have some like crew sweatshirts like this that are going to have like one of the Never Hike Alone patches, which featured Kyle Mcleod on it. I think that's a pretty cool
best
logo.
Sweatshirts ever.
Yeah, because there's the tank tops too. I realize those are going to come out in the fall for everybody, but for next summer, you're going to have a nice Never Hike Alone tank, or maybe you wear it to the gym for those of you who are working out.
Wow, so fit.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot to contend with next year. Oh yeah, that was one of the questions that we had from Jordan, which was, how do you plan on improving your performance of fighting Jason in Never Hike Alone 2?
What?
Oh yeah, Drew, your performance in the sequel. How are you preparing for the next showdown with Jason Voorhees, and what do you want to improve on that you didn't get the opportunity to do from the first film?
Well, I mean, my performance-wise is not based on me. It's based on Vincente. I mean, my physical performance. I don't think I won it. I think it was a pretty fair fight, and I think that Kyle's only way to survive is to evade. So the whole thing that Kyle did was strike, run, and that's all you can really do is just try.
That
to
is
get
his
Jason.
formula.
Yeah, I mean, like what?
Kyle knows he's not taking Jason out. Like he figures that out right away. I mean, I think you realize that the moment
he chopped him in the neck with an axe, and Jason's neck didn't even fall apart. Let alone it barely stabbed him. So it's not like he can do much. And I think
I'm gonna have to add that into the film, like you just saying a line where like I put an axe in his neck and he kept coming at me. I'm not going back to that kid.
He went like this.
That's one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite moments in the film of like.
And that was the hardest day. That was the hardest day. Every day was a hard day, but that was That was 20 degrees that we were filming in. And it was 4 in the morning. You know, that was no joke.
That day and the ambulance day was the ambulance day was easier for you, but the ambulance day was a hard day too because that was a race against the sun.
Well, the ambulance day for me was like a 17-hour day where I went from like I lucked out because I was able to do all my dialogue in the morning or in the day or in the afternoon, I guess. But we still rehearsed in the morning. We shot things that like I ran my dialogue, and then at the end of the day, you know, I'm just laying there, but it was still exhausting. Like it wasn't like I'm laying there and able to get a bunch of energy. Like I'm laying there, and then in moments I would have you yelling at me like, Andrew, it's your time, and I have to be like, and sell this whole like I didn't just wake up from a nap sort of thing.
I wish there was a camera just on you like sleeping, and it's like, Andrew, it's your time. Okay.
Or there was that one moment on the gurney where we had done like 6 takes of Jason slamming a knife that turned into a needle. That was the idea. And finally, at the very end, I was so over it. I just went. I remember seeing Brian throw his hand down. I was like, no, 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 no. And everyone in the back was like dying of laughter. And I was sitting there, I was like, I can't, I got nothing else left in me, man. Like, I'm done. I'm toasted. But that's what it was, you know, like I had sold 5 shots, and I was kind of like, if they can't pull one of those reactions from those 5 shots, I don't know how else I can sell this. You know, I did 5 different reactions, all that were extreme.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, like it was never about the reactions. I think in that time we were really trying to lock down what was the proper angle. Like we were trying to get the right angle so it didn't feel like there was just we sort of weren't in like. I think for me, what I was trying to get was that we wanted to be on an angle that just felt intimidating and just like intense. And we were sort of like, it started too low. I remember it was just too low. And I was like, no, I want to be on top of him. You know what I mean? And so that's what, sometimes I had to take the cameras because I could get up over you. And I think that's what happened was your performance was great every time. We rarely had issues with your performance. And most of the time, the hardest stuff in independent like level, honestly, is like executing the technical stuff. Like getting a take that is all in focus and all these different things, just because you're working with the equipment that's not as reliable as the stuff that we have on the bigger sets that we work on. So a lot of it, like, so it's really hard, you know, I think for actors in that room, because you have to do 5 takes that are all perfect, because a couple of those takes aren't going to be usable because of technical reasons, nothing you did. You know, sometimes it's nice when actors mess up in the first 2 takes because we're still figuring out the technical stuff. And that's why I usually take it pretty lax when we're on those first 2 takes, because we're all operating it for the first time. And then once you see it performed, you know, even during rehearsal, it's just like, oh, you know what? I'm seeing all these issues or all these things because now it's being applied. And now you have to make those changes on the fly. So it's
true. Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
It's hard. And it gets hard too, especially like when in Never Hike Alone, because everything was your first take is a tester almost. And then your next take, it's like, oh, we're moving somewhere, but where are we moving? And then it's kind of, you keep chopping down the line, figuring out where you're moving to. But when you're an actor and it's a long day, you know, you get tired. And I didn't really realize that until all of a sudden I'm like yelling at the top of my lungs, like, oh, no, no, no. And everyone's dying behind me. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm done. I'm exhausted out of it. But it was also, it's a test to your mental ability too. Like you can be put in these situations where you don't get much sleep, you don't get much rest, but you find the energy to like kind of do it and finish it because of all the people around you. No, yeah. Well, no, I mean, not because.
No, not that way. I mean, oh, Drew disappeared. I was just about to make. There he is. You're back, buddy. You weren't there. Sorry. No, not that you didn't have a choice. Like you couldn't go anywhere, but it was one of those things where like it's an internal thing. Like you know that like I got to keep going. Like I gotta like I'm tired, but we're all in this together, and you know, which is sort of like, I mean, it's sort of what you have to do a lot on these productions because there's just so much to do and you're trying to cram so much in and you don't have that luxury of like, oh, we'll just come back and get this when we do pickups. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, no, we got to get it now. And so, you know, I think what we always tried to do was we would have those days and we were all sort of prepared for them, but like we all went in a way that like the extra time we were putting in actually made it a little bit easier. It just 17-hour days are hard. What I was going to say is that you're actually getting some love for your lemon slice, Drew. Oh, there he is.
It's my big guy.
What's up, Landon? So this is the owner of Landon Industries right here. This is
the shovel
Landon
maker.
Industries. Oh yeah, that's right. He can't hear me right. Hey, Landon.
Hi.
How do you enjoy being the president of Landon Industries? That you made the shovel that helped save your dad.
Good.
Good. How you been, man? You're getting big.
Good.
You're a monster.
He is. He is a monster.
He's gonna be Jason soon. That's what he wants to do.
Oh yeah. Oh, we can have him play little young Jason. We should throw a little bald cap on him.
Oh, hey, look at him. We'll shave his head.
We'll mess up his eye a little bit and have it droop down. Yeah, let's shave his head.
Oh man, you shave his head. He's probably gonna shave me off of his birth certificate.
Oh, that's funny. Let me see. Awoke Nightmare. Vinny, have you read the Nick Antosca Friday the 13th script? And if so, what are your thoughts on how they handled Jason? I have read it. I loved it. I'm very mad that it didn't get made. And in fact, if anyone looks up something called Revenant Jason, if you just type in Revenant Jason from an artist by the name of, I'm going to butcher it, and so I'm sorry because it is a cool name, Anastasios Gionis, Anastasios. You look up that artist, Revenant Jason. It's a 3D rendering. It's on YouTube. He's also done some. He did some stills of it too. I know that they were going to do a little bit of a different. I think they had like an overall Jason with like another type of shirt, but it was an undead Jason. It was really cool. Kids coming across, like I remember it opened up with like the kids were closing camp and they come across the lake in rowboats and it's all foggy and they get to Camp Crystal Lake and they start like walking around. It was a great script. And then the kills were really good. And then the ending was really cool because I think it's like Jason running down the street with a bone saw, killing people. It was real rad. It's too bad they never made it. Maybe they'll do it again one day. Let's see. We got another good. How would Kyle feel about Tommy, who's not as good a shape as Kyle then, doing better than Kyle did? How do you feel about getting outperformed by Tommy Jarvis?
How would Kyle feel about Tommy, who not as good a shape as Kyle then, doing better than?
I don't know. I mean, I think Kyle does quite a good job in Never Hike Alone. It's going to be Never Hike Alone 2, where we're going to see if Kyle has anything left in the tank.
Well, I think Kyle in Never Hike Alone had, is skeptical about it all. So he didn't really think it. Whereas, Tommy knew what was going on from when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew he knew what it would take to defeat him. And then all of a sudden, we go on Never Hike Alone 2.
Mm-hmm. But now Kyle has learned things. Kyle's messed up. But
Kyle's learned things, but he's messed up. Like he's not. There's not much he can do.
See, the thing I love about the Kyle-Tommy relationship in Never Hike Alone 2, people are going to see, is that you need each other. Is that you have pieces of information that he needs, and he has pieces of information that you need. It's just going to be about the motive. Yeah.
It's a bit. I like, and I never thought about this until I read Never Hike Alone 2. But Kyle and Tommy is similar to like you and I. Like it's very big brother. It's a brotherly sort of thing. It's not a father-son sort of thing. It's very brotherly. They talk shit. They work through things together without realizing they're working through it together. And they need each other. Not that I need you, but you need me.
I do. So I'm reading some of these questions that I'm lining up in the thing, and they're really funny.
Oh shit!
That's the thing. I think eventually I'm gonna have to get a moderator in here who can like get the questions out for us, so we can just goof around. I
do think Kyle and Tommy's relationship is a bit more of a brotherly relationship than it is father and son, like senior junior sort of thing. I think they need to work together, and at the same time, I think at the end they find themselves like Tommy is not gonna leave Crystal Lake. Kyle has no ties to Crystal Lake. And so to him, it's kind of like, well, once I'm done here, or if I make it out of here, I'm on to my next thing. Whereas Tommy's like, once I'm done here, if I'm out of here, I'm going to keep protecting this place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, you have one guy who is a bit of a protector, and you have one guy who's a bit rebellious.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like a very brotherly thing to me. I don't have any brothers, but
yeah,
that's
and I think it's
like.
nice, and that's kind of the thing. It's like Kyle really doesn't have a reason to return per se, and that's one of the things that we discover is that like he kind of does eventually, and Tommy's the one who sort of makes him realize it, and at the same time, like Never Hike Alone 2, it really is sort of like that extension of Tommy's story, because he has been dealing with it a long time and he does have a plan. And I think part of it is that like part of Tommy's goal is that he has to convince you and he has to convince Diana, he has to convince Anna to follow him into like this fight that, you've already done. And you're like, you want no part of.
I barely survived it. It's like,
you came out. If it wasn't for the book, if it wasn't, a little bit, like that's what I love about Kyle's story is that like it was like a lot of bit of skill, a little bit of luck, and actually a lot of bit of luck because in the end he ended up being found. But that was all through planning. It was like people always say like, oh, how did he get found? How did he get found? In Kyle's little last diary, he does say
it'll be told.
Like, yeah, he said, I'm going to go find the trail. Like I need to get back to the King of my supplies and get back on the other side of the lake. Because he knows that's where the other side is. So he did that, and we'll find out more about that. Never Hike Alone 2. But I'm going to jump into some more questions right now. Vinny, do you think Andrew, Vinny and Andrew, do you think that if both of you switched roles of Jason and Kyle in the film, would you think you could do better or worse? I could not do Kyle as well as.
Yeah, I can't do Jason.
I would love to see you in the costume. We should do a day where we switch.
That costume would go down to like the next story. That's how long it would be on
just
me.
You flopping around in the thing with the extra large coat and the big long.
I'm just thinking about like me
trying
to walk fast in it. I can't even run fast in the snow.
Oh my god, you'd be falling
fast
all over the place. The boots would trip you up. The boots are so hard, man. Like I thought that. Oh, the one thing I love taking off more than anything when it's time to be done shooting, it's the boots.
Was your underwear? Oh yeah, the boots.
Yeah, well that too, just because it's like I do wear the stunt pads on the legs too, so you got to air everything out. But yeah, we have a tremendous respect for what each other does. I know I couldn't do it with you. A freshwater fish genetically engineered to look like Jason Perk would be cool. I don't know how that happens, but I guess we're gonna have to open up a
it would be farm. A catfish for sure.
Catfish. Greg points out, don't forget the travel guide. The travel guide saved Kyle's life, which reminds me, I either have to go recover the original travel guide or make a new one pretty soon because I want to bring that back. Elise has another good question. Vin, what are you hoping to bring to NHA 2 that we haven't seen before? I got to think about saying this without giving it away. I don't know. I think if anything, what I'm trying to do for Friday the 13th in general with these fan films is give us a final chapter, a true final chapter to this entire saga, to that original 8-film kind of arc that, I think part 6 had an ending that worked and it also kind of tipped its hat to say like, there's more on the way. And then I think that 7 and 8 sort of kind of dropped the ball on leaving Jason with a conclusion that made us say like, oh, this is the end to the story, or it just felt like sort of arbitrarily ending, like Jason washing out to sea, like that couldn't be it, right? And then Jason goes to hell, kind of bending things in a weird way, and then Jason never really recovered after that. He never really had a soft landing for an ending, or like a good ending for an ending. Through any of these films, I feel like they've been struggling to make good endings to Friday the 13th ever since the end of part 6. And
when you say final chapters, I mean like Jason's gone?
I mean that like there has to be a way for the story to sort of like come to a conclusion. You know what I mean? Like Tommy put Jason in the water right?
Yeah.
And in part 6, and there was like a finality to their rivalry. Then Tina let Jason out. So now Tommy's rivalry is opened back up because there's no way Tommy would let that slide. You know what I mean? Like Tommy didn't go away. Tommy stayed. So at least in our world, he did. So this is like kind of like a way to go back and be like, we're going to go back and sort of rebutton up sort of like there's a story arc here that's not finished. And I want to feel like there's a conclusion. I think that's what I want to bring more than anything. I mean, listen, like there's cool kills in there. That, you know, some of them are pretty new and interesting. Some of them you've probably seen before in other things, but executed in our way with our type of camera moves and stuff like that. You know, we obviously want to bring an unbelievable amount of cinematography skill to this. Evan has upped his game. We have a red Monstro now that we're shooting with. We have an amazing amount of toys that we're going to be using on this film through Evan's kit and all that fun stuff. But it's, I just wanted to be like a really emotionally driven Friday the 13th with really cool scenes that all add up to something.
So Vin, in your world, could Jason ever be completely dead, like ever erased?
I don't want to spoil anything. I don't think I would. The door is always has to be open. You know what I mean? The door always has to be open. And what I think I'm going to show people is that the obvious things about trying to stop Jason, like there's another way to look at it. And that's sort of what the ending of the movie is. And I think that that's what's such a great part about like a lot of like, you know, you have a big moment, you know, in certain places for that sort of story arc. Obviously, but I think that it's like we've been teasing these things through Never Hike Alone. You know, in Never Hike Alone 1, like we really sort of like were contained, but Never Hike in the Snow started to set things up. Even the Disappear music video started to set some things up. That there's like this sort of, I think for me, I want to show a Jason that is sort of tired of being Jason. That he's sort of like, I have done this 1,000 times over for over 50 years. Is that the kitty? And he's sort of like on a kamikaze mission in a way, and he's going to take out as many people as he can. But
he's exhausted doing it.
But he's exhausted doing it. But he's also you've woken up an anger in him that he hasn't had in a long time. Like,
and all of a sudden it's coming.
All of a sudden it's coming back, and so now it is. But like what I always say about Jason is when Jason gets in these rages, when Jason goes into rage mode and he starts killing multiple people and just putting himself out there, eventually something bad happens to him, and he puts himself out there
in a position to fail. So in order to sort of like get that, he needs something to kind of draw him out. And for years he's been really, really good. And he's hidden away. So I'm almost like his mouse that's pulling him out, and Tommy is like his exterminator sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like
possibly,
I really, you're sort of, you are like this. You are the one that escaped. You know what I mean? You're the kid who came over the hill and was like, "There's a wolf in the forest," and only one guy believes you. And so it's gonna be really interesting, I think, for people to see the path that everybody takes through the film. And all that stuff. But let me, we're hitting around that hour mark, so I'm going to jump through some of these other questions. Let's see. Hey, Drew, you're going to have to walk around the entire NHA2 with a drink with a lemon slice, like Trailer Park Boys. We should.
As long as tequila's in there, I'm okay with it.
All right, we're going to put that in your rider. That will be part of your demands.
Game on, baby.
Every time you step off set, you have to be handed a cup with a lemon on it. We'll see what you're drinking. What do you got in that?
Tequila and ice and a lemon.
What tequila?
No Sotros. It means us, because we're sitting here talking, and I figured what else to drink besides us.
Oh, that's cute. Gregory Pett says, I always thought of Jason as a revenant. I used to get angry when people call him a zombie. That's right. Jason's not a zombie. He doesn't eat brains. All right, let's see. We got Vincent, are you the only person besides Scream and Halloween that does Tommy a legacy character good, and then when they did did what they did to Sarah from Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2022? Yes. So the idea is that, like, I think one of the things that they've been doing wrong in some of these films is like in Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Leatherface, like I think it's Sally in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When he sees Sally, he doesn't even remember her. Like when Michael sees Jamie Lee Curtis, he doesn't even really remember her. He doesn't care about her. It's not about her. It's about something else in this universe. But like what I love about Tommy and Jason is it is about each other. Is that Tommy knows that Jason is out there but can't prove it, and Jason knows that Tommy's looking for him, is doing everything to avoid him so he can avoid being put back down.
Being found.
Being found, having to go through the pain and the torture of having to, eliminate all these people and then suffer the damage. You know what I mean?
He's just a ghost to everyone else except to Tommy. So Tommy's the only one that's seen him. You got Sheriff over there who's like, "No, you're losing your mind, man," to Tommy. Meanwhile, Tommy knows it's going down.
Yeah, no, exactly. And speaking of Tommy, Vincent, can't believe no one asked this. Are you going to bring back Tommy's martial arts skills from Part 5? How about American Ninja 4? Because that's what Tom Matthews was in. But we won't see any karate from Tommy, but we will see there will be fighting, and Tommy will be. I mean, he's got no fear with Jason, so I think it's going to be It's going to be a strength and a weakness with Tommy, that he has no fear, that like he thinks that he can take Jason on one by one. And I think that like Tommy at the same time also sort of has a death wish that we'll see on full display. So we definitely got to keep out for that. Vincent, are you going to show in NHA 2 how Tommy knew Jason was alive from Part 7? No, I can't. I don't have the budget to really recreate that. I would do it by showing a young Tommy at the crime scene of Part 7, where everyone's taped off and you would see everybody moving behind there. Like, I wish I could go back and somehow do like cut inserts where Tommy ran up to that scene at the end of Part 7 and tried to get in, but Rick was there as the sheriff and wouldn't allow him over. So I think that's sort of like the inspiration behind how he became a paramedic, because he saw the paramedics out there working behind the scenes and he knew that that was going to be his way in if Jason ever showed up again. Let's see.
What if Tommy had a kid that he gave up and it ended up being Kyle Mcleod?
Oh my God.
What a whoop.
What a whoop.
That's a whooper.
Oh my! Did you just?
And I like it.
No, I'm just kidding. At one point, we did have a child written in for. In fact, there wasn't supposed to be a nurse character in the original version of Never Hike Alone 2. Tommy had a daughter with Megan, and they were separated, and the daughter was living with Megan in the city, and she got into a fight with her mom who was coming out to visit her dad for the weekend. Unfortunately, Jason attacks during that time, and she's back at the hospital. So she was sort of the character that Diana became. So instead of it being his daughter waiting for her back at the hospital, it was this doctor that worked there that lost her son. And that's how like Never Hike in the Snow ended up shifting Never Hike Alone 2. And one of the reasons that did that is I wanted to get Megan to come back, but I could not get the actress. So we had to sort of go back to the drawing board on that, because I didn't want to get an actress that wasn't her, and I didn't want to skirt around it, because there was an actual scene where they were supposed to have a conversation, which I thought would be a really cool way for fans to really celebrate it. But unfortunately, Jennifer does not want to come back and do films. But let's see.
Awkward.
Never Hike Alone is amazing. Would you ever reimagine another big franchise, Halloween or Nightmare? I have done 3 Halloween fan films: Spirit of Haddonfield, The Face of Michael Myers, and Happy Halloween, in that order, from sometime between 2017 and 2021. I would definitely say check those out on YouTube. We're going to be doing Dylan's New Nightmare, Nightmare on Elm Street, based on a new nightmare that's going to be directed by Cecil Laird. We're co-producing that. Miko Hughes is returning as Dylan Porter from Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. So it's the real world version. It's the meta version of Freddy that we're doing. So we're going to film that this fall. I think in November we're going to do that. So we definitely into the metaverse, and maybe one day we'll figure out how to tie our Jason and that Freddy together. Vincent, will you be able to explain how Jason returned to Crystal Lake from Manhattan Uber? If we get up to $300,000 in the Never Hike Alone crowdfunding as a stretch goal, the idea is that what we show you with Ghost in the Fog, we're going to take that style of animation and we're going to do another short film. I mean, another fan film called The Ghost of Crystal Lake, which is the origin story of Ghost Jason, which deals with him coming back from Manhattan, which will be, I'll tell you this, the opening scene is you're with Jason getting flushed down. Flushed down the sewers of the sewers of New York, getting flushed out into the ocean and sinking to the bottom of the bay, and sort of like having this contemplative, like, how did I get here type thing. And then it goes into the story about sort of what all these things happen and starts the Jason coming back. But anyway, that's what that's about. So if we can raise another $75,000, we can totally make that happen and we'd animate it. So it'd be a really cool way to do it. Let me see a few more questions here. Let's see. Poop. Drew, you got any big plans this weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna comb my hair.
Just comb your hair?
It. Yeah, all weekend long. The bay.
No plans with Landry. Are you surfing this weekend?
Yeah, we're going up to Ohio. Go on a hike.
Oh, a hike? You better not go alone.
Maybe.
Okay, so I think that's probably going to bring it to the end. My last question for you, Kyle, Drew, before we go, is what are you looking forward to most with Never Hike Alone 2?
Sleeping.
Sleeping in the bed the entire time?
Yeah. No, I'm excited to work with other people. You know, I think with the pandemic, it's been super weird. But even like Never Hike Alone was so much fun because I was kind of able to find myself as an actor. I think was one of the more important parts, and learn my range, and kind of just finding myself in a character in a main character setting that I had never been a part of. You know, I've always been like a co-star and everything, if that. So it's cool, like, be able to dig down and dig into a character and find out like who the character is, and then also bring myself in, and being allowed to bring myself into a part of the character, because usually you're not able to do that. And going into Never Hike Alone 2, I'm excited that I already know who my character is and how he is like myself and how he's not like myself, but then also being able to work with other people in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really been able to do that, you know, and so I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to work with Tom. I'm excited to work with Diana.
I'm excited to see Kyle interact with other characters.
Yeah, I think Kyle's been kind of like a bit of a hermit, you know. He's kind of like put himself out in the wilderness only to find a fan base, but Kyle wants to talk to people. That's why he does his podcast, you know. So know that about Kyle.
Know that about Kyle.
I think Kyle wants to seem like he's fine being by himself, but I don't think he's fine by himself. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's kind of why he searches.
He's a big softie.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, and so I am excited to work with everyone. But I'm also just excited to kind of be a part of this because, you know, I've told all my good friends in town and everything, like, after the pandemic, like, one of the best things I've ever done in my life was Never Hike Alone. Mm-hmm. And being a part of it from top to bottom, going out and doing the hard work, but then also going out and doing the bougie work on it was really unique and really cool. And I don't get that opportunity a lot of times, but it made it a really sincere project for me. So I think that in itself, I'm just happy to be back on a set like Never Hike Alone, with people who are like-minded.
No, I'm looking forward to it too. It's going to be a lot of fun to have everybody back out there, and I know it's going to be a little bit of a longer wait, but I think it's going to be surreal once we get back out there and we see everything that we've built, how far we've come from those days of like us jamming in my Jeep, 2 cars following each other up into the forest. And then now we get to we're still going to be cars following up into the forest, but all these sets that we have and all this, some of the things we're going to do. And it's nice to see our old friends back. and some of our new friends, some of the new people are going to be, because it's a bigger cast. There's new people to get killed. There's a lot of really, really great things. I got one more question that kind of came in right before that I think is worth answering. What are the chances of projects like Pamela prequel or even a Jason Meets the Wolfman being done as animated movies down the line as well? Pamela prequel, I could 1000% see being animated. Jason Meets the Wolfman would probably be live action, and that's going to be done by Hawthorne House Films. We've actually talked to them a little bit about that. The response to Jason Meets the Wolfman was so kind of like, there's so many people that want to see it. We may go back to the drawing board on that and say maybe we will. I'll work with them to help crowdfund it, but that's something I'm going to talk to Stephen, the director, about before we go ahead. But there is a big possibility that Jason Meets the Wolfman could be crowdfunded sometime. Who knows? And maybe in the next year, by Stephen Wolf and Hawthorne House Films and that crew. We just got to see if the support's there. So it's like that. It's all about supporting the crowdfunds. If you want to see these movies, it's all about supporting them. So again, one last time before we go, Never Hike Alone 2 is still crowdfunding in demand. The link is in the buy or in the description below. $250,000 gets us more kills in the film and the Ghost in the Fogs prequel, which will be added to the Never Hike Alone 2 Blu-ray, and you'll be able to download it this fall when production is completed on it, if we reach that goal. And so, Andrew, I just want to thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday night. It looks like it's still daylight out there, you jerk. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like pitch black. It's been pitch black here the whole time.
It's like your heart.
Yeah, pretty much these days. Everybody, thank you everybody for showing up tonight. It's been a pleasure getting the questions. This has been really fun, and obviously always a pleasure to talk to you, Andrew. So everybody, until next time, Kyle, why don't you take us out on this one?
Oh, Vin, I gotta say though, I miss you, man. I love
miss you too.
It's been a great time talking with you. But guys, as always, it's been a pleasure. And until I see you on the trails, Kyle out.